Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Mark. Welcome to the channel. The channel is called Mark's Music Place. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Definitely hit the bell so that way it'll let you know when I'm going to post another video. Definitely share with your friends. Write some comments and definitely a thumbs up. It all helps the channel if you like this kind of content. Now, what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to try to go as fast because this is a lot to try to explain here. With the camera I'm using, it only gives you like 29 minutes and 59 seconds, so it's basically under 30 seconds. I mean, under 30 minutes. So you don't have a whole lot of time, and it's a lot of information. So basically, what I'm going to talk about is how would you use an analog console in your home recording studio? Okay. First, this is a Behringer Eurodesc, but there is the Mackie 32 channel by 32 channel 8 bus. There is quite a few consoles similar to this that are analog. That there are a lot of people that are wanting to use an analog console incorporated with their interface into their computer, into their DAW. I like that workflow because it works for me. Not everyone wants to work this way, but it works for me. It's the reason why I do it. Okay. I have an Allen and Heath, but it's really a live console. It's not really a recording console, but you can use it in a recording. I'm going to talk about the Behringer since I'm here, because we're talking about mixing consoles in general. Idealistically, you want to get a recording console, a console for recording, like the Behringer Eurodesc MX8000 or the MX9000 or the Mackie 32 by 8 or something like that. Something similar that's going to have direct outs as well as you can record from the buses. Now, these consoles, the reason why, one of the main reasons why studios like consoles is because they provide preamps on every channel. And so if you have a console that definitely has, so if you got a mixing console and it's only got like 4 microphone inputs and the rest of them are shared, maybe 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 or whatever, they're all shared. And that might be perfect if you're only doing 1 or 2 tracks at a time. That might be perfect for you. But if you want to record a lot of sources at the same time, like if I wanted to, I could track an entire band through this console because there's preamps there's 24 preamps. And a lot of people don't consider, and I'm going to do another video on why consoles are the way they are. That's a different video. But this is the reason why you see big analog consoles. If you do the studio tours, this is the reason why you see the big analog consoles, because all those big analog consoles most of the time have preamps, EQs, there's auxiliaries on it, there's bus routing, there's a lot of options. But the biggest thing, it gives them plenty of preamps to have, so they'll have enough preamps to track and to multi-track, especially for bands, or if they want to do 56 channels because they're doing a 50-piece orchestra or something like that. And sometimes they don't have enough outboard. Like this is a Focusrite preamp, and they might not have enough preamps, external preamps. But at least the console, there's 24 mic pre's. All those XLR inputs are mic pre's. I have a microphone on channel 9 here. On channel 9, it is a mic pre. There's the volume level for it. It's ready to go, so I can go ahead and talk into it. There is signal right there. You can see the light flashing because it's going through the mic pre. I have the volume up right here. And so there's the mic pre. So I can go ahead and unmute the channel. I go ahead and unmute the channel, bring the volume up, the fader up, and now you can hear volume through the speakers because I'm going through the console's mic pre. Okay. All right, I'm going to mute that, bring the fader back down. So that's on every individual channel. Now on this console, I'm not using all the mic pre's because I only do 1 or 2 channels at a time. Sometimes I'll use the console's mic pre. Sometimes I use an external mic pre. like this Focusrite, I got a good assortment of mic pre's upstairs upstairs, but I use quite a few different mic pre's for different flavor. This is the only reason why you'll see a studio with a console and they'll have all these different mic racks and mount pre's, because every mic pre has a little different character to it. And this is and engineers, once they use these consoles and they use the mic pre so much, they know what they sound like. The same thing with the microphones. Once you use your gear all the time, you know what it sounds like. You learn what your gear sounds like. Okay, so the ideal is to make sure that you find a console that's going to have definitely mic pre's, and then you can use the line in. You can use the microphone preamp for the mic, or you use a line in for an instrument and use the mic pre to boost the instruments. If you want to put an instrument on those channels, you can use the instrument on the line in, but it's also going to have a direct out for recording, to send that direct out to a different source. But most of the time, they direct out so you can send it to tape machine. Analog consoles used to go to tape machines. That's why you'll still see words like tape. Okay. And also there's inserts, so you can insert gear like compressors and stuff like that. Like I got a compressor, a rack mounted 8-channel compressor here. So I got those channels inserted going to that compressor. That's a different video on how I got my setup. But the purpose, so you can insert compressors. Now, so you got 24 channels for that. So you got the mic pre, so you got the gain control. That means anytime you set mixing console with a gain control, that means that's the gain control that controls the preamp. And then there's EQ that you can engage in case you want to use EQ. Of course, there's auxiliaries. You want to route that somewhere else, but you got your main faders. I'm not going to install anyone's intelligence. Most people seen with a console, so they get the basis of it. But the purpose of this is so that you can monitor each individual channel. Then you can also send it to buses. So you got your groups or buses, whatever you want to call it. You can call it a group or bus, whatever you want to call it. Same thing, group or bus. All right. So now we got the group and bus. So now we can record from each individual channel, or we can record from the groups, because the console allows you to have 24 outputs on the back to send to your recording source. In this case, we're all using DAWs. So you can record the group outs here. These are the group outs. Okay? That can go into your interface. Now, in my situation, I have my situation. Let me move my shoes, because I took my shoes off to be comfortable, because I am in my house. These two keyboards right here are going through a mixer that's mounted, that's racked in my rack. Now, because my keyboards, now that mixer, the output of that mixer, these two keyboards, all my keyboards are going through a mixer, and the output of that mixer is coming into the console here. So now I can listen to this piano. So you get the idea. So now I can monitor everything going into that mixer. I can monitor for recording. Now, and it's coming into channels 19 and 20 here. Actually, it's technically 43 and 44, but they're the same. They're sharing. So it's coming into those two. It's coming into those two channels, because it's not. I'm not using the preamp, because it's not going through the line in here or the mic inputs. It's actually going. It's actually going through the other return inputs. So I can listen to this piano. I have a direct out. The direct out here is coming into my interface here. That's on 7 and 8. So now when I set in my DAW, you can see here. So now on 7 and 8. So the direct out, so now that I set my DAW to see 7 and 8 of the input of the interface, it's going to get that piano. But I also have, let me bring this back here. I also have an insert, a compressor inserted here. Okay? On the insert. That's going through this compressor here. Here. Of course I can bypass the compressor by, doing that. So, but it's going through that compressor. Okay. I have it on there, so in case I need to put a little compression on that piano, in case I want to contain a little bit of the dynamics. So, because I'm not using none of the inputs, because this type of console is actually what they call an inline console. It actually has 2 inputs per channel and 2 inputs per, I'm not going to say but it also has inserts on the bus. You can record from the bus. You can also insert on the buses as well. But how it used to be, so you understand this, is it's for, in the old way, you would run your channels out. Once you run your channels out, you put whatever you're going to put on every single channel. Let's say you're going to do drums, you're going to do kick drum mic, snare, toms, overheads, maybe a pair of room mics or whatever, bass, guitars, percussion, other guitars, keys, vocals, background vocals or whatever. You would have all that, and you put you of course, they put a strip here, a piece of tape, and you would mark everything. And you would put everything on every one of those channels. Now, the output, after you put everything on those channels, going through the mic pre's on the channel, and of course, naturally, all those inputs would actually be routed to a patch bay. But you can plug directly into the console if you wanted to. But most of the time, you want to take all these and run it through a patch bay. So you can plug into the patch bay. That way you don't have to always climb behind the console and plug stuff up and unplug it, plug it, unplug it. The patch bay keeps everything, all your inputs permanently patched in to console. So you can just patch in from, like I have right here, ta-da, a patch bay. So and I would label the patch bay according to, like this is 16, but I would have a 24. So they have 24 for the mic, for the XLR inputs, 24 for the line ins, 24 for the direct outs, and 24 for the inserts. That's how you would do that. That's how you would set your patch bay up. Bam. And of course you would have your 8 buses and your 8 bus inserts and your auxiliaries and all that on patch bays. All that would be on patch bays. So with that being said, now how it used to be is all the direct outs from the channel would go into the tape machine. The tape machine would then see the signal. The return from the tape machine would then come back to the console, but it wouldn't go back into the line inputs here or the XLR. It would actually, on the back of this console, there are actually 24 more inputs for tape returns. And that's there's 8, 16, 24 right here. But in this case, we're not using a tape machine. We're using a interface. So the direct out of the console is coming out of the console into the interface for the DAW. Because that's the only way the DAW, that's how you can only hear things through your interface. So all of my tape returns, all of my tape direct outs would go into the input of the interface here. Okay, for recording. And then once I'm done recording into the DAW, as an example, so if I was to come in here and I'm going to undo this right quick. Okay, bam. Okay, so once I'm done recording, so if I was to record something, if I was to record something, okay, I'm ready to record. Now to record. This, right? So if I sit there and just hit play, I'm recording now. It's recording. So right. So now that I recorded that. Okay. Right. So now, so now that I recorded that, the returns from my interface, all my return outs are into these channels here, 1 through 8. So I got 1 through 8 here. So now for me to hear this, I hit play on the DID, what I just recorded. Nothing gonna come until I actually undo it, right? Right? So now I just recorded that. So the return of that. Now, to finally say that, so now that's why you want a console that's designed for recording like this. Okay, so now that you got 24, so basically what I'm saying to sum it up is there's 24 mic pre's on every single channel, okay? All right, there's 24 mic pre's. All right. There's also 24 line in to use the mic pre's if you want to use instruments and you want to use the preamp section as well. Now, the returns are here. Once I've done recorded, I'm coming in here. I set the console by flipping the switches on the console. Now, the returns on those channels from my DAW, from my interface, the back of my interface, are coming to the return so I can monitor. Also, I'm using these for auxiliary returns for my, even though I'm sending the auxiliary sends from my piano that I just recorded, if I go back and hit play, I got auxiliary sends. So now I can hit this play. The returns for my auxiliaries for my effect units that I got here. So if I undo this and play again, you're going to hear reverb, right? So no reverb. Right, so I have the reverb. Now, the point of that is that right now I got 8 outputs. Now I'm going to add a second unit for 16 outputs. So when I'm going to record into my DAW, I'm going to run the outputs back into these channels here so I can mix through the console, and I can mix through the console. And what happened is the final part of the console is everything come from the channels. Let's say I got everything coming out of the channels that I want to mix. I got everything I'm ready to mix. So the output of my interface is coming through my console now. I can set all my fader levels. I can use the EQs if I want. I can insert compressors on each channel if I want. I can send them to buses. I can go ahead and assign them to buses, and then I can have the buses. And then what's going to happen is the bus is going to be now assigned to come to the master bus. And this master bus, The output of the master bus is going to go into the interface for me to print a final mix, final mix of what I've done on the console. Come here. The biggest mistake that a lot of people were making, I used to make the mistake too, was this used to be the volume level for the speakers, but that's not what that's for. That's the master bus for when you do all your final mix. It goes to your master bus, just like you would do in your DAW. This would be the same way. Your volume level for the speakers would be these here. If I turn this down and then I hit play for what I just recorded, that's, so you can see right here, right? This is the master bus. The master bus. So what would happen is, what I would do is I would come in my DAW here. Now that I record that little piano track, let's say I come here and let me insert an auxiliary track, right? Okay. I insert an auxiliary track and this is going to be the final, this last track right here is going to be the final one, right? This final one, I'm going to go ahead and set it as the master. Okay. So it's ready to see the master. I got it set to see the master. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to play what I just recorded. Going to come out of the master here. And I'm going to, so I'm ready to record now. So, all right, so now, all right, so we're ready to roll, right? So now that I got my mix through the console ready to go, I'm ready to record this final mix, right? So now I can hit play and now I'm ready to print this final mix, right? Because I got everything. I'm going to use a little bit of reverb or compressors or what I'm using. Right? So now I can go ahead and unarm that. All right, quick. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just solo. I'm just gonna play just the master mix, the final mix. So I'm gonna solo the final mix and I'm gonna play it. Right? All right, so now, to final up, so basically your outputs, your studio output, so what should be happening is your studio monitor should be on your output for your control room and not here. That's designed to print your final mix. That's your master bus. All right, you got a studio room in case if this console was in a control room by itself and you had a live room through some glass, you can actually run the output from the console into the live room so they can hear, you set up some speakers and they can hear, you can send them a studio room volume. All right. Also, this console has headphone mixes. So I want the band to hear, or the musician or the singer or whatever, to hear exactly what's being heard through the console. So that's why I send my headphone mix out of the headphone mix of the mixer and not the headphone mix of the interface. Trust me, it's a lot more accurate. It sounds better. So this has 2 headphone volumes levels. So I send one for the band and I got one for myself. So it has 2 headphone mixes. So that's going to do it for the analog console in your recording studio. Other than that, that should do it. If it needs to go a little bit more in depth and you're still a little bit more confused, let me know and I'll try to do a part 2 of actually I'm gonna do a routing video, how to route your console. But I just want to say how to use your console in your studio. Then I'm gonna do another video on how you should route your console. That's a separate video. But I just want to show this is how you would use an analog console in your home recording studio. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and y'all have a great one.